All right, today we're going to read The Story of Ruby Bridges by Robert Coles. Sometimes it helps us understand what we read when we can put ourselves in the place of the main character. We think about what has happened to us in our own lives. We ask ourselves if something like that happened to us. Then we imagine what we might do. As we read this book, think about what you would do if you were in Ruby's place. From this time to the time I will stop and ask you. I want you to think later because we're going to write about it. Ruby Bridges was born in a small cabin near Tylertown, Mississippi. We were very poor, very, very poor, Ruby said. My daddy worked picking crops. We just barely got by. There were times when we didn't have much to eat. The people who owned the land were just bringing in machines to pick the crops, so my daddy lost his job. That's when we had to move. I remember us leaving. I was 4, I think. So here it is. This is in Mississippi, and where Ruby was born, and but they're having to move to a new home, okay, because her daddy lost his job. You can see. It looks like it was a long time ago. In 1957, the family moved to New Orleans. That's in Louisiana. Ruby's father became a janitor. Her mother took care of children during the day. After they were tucked in bed, Ruby's mother went to work scrubbing floors in a bank. Every Sunday, the family went to church. We wanted our children to be near God's Spirit, Ruby's mother said. We wanted them to start feeling close to Him from the very start. Now, here is New Orleans, which is a big city, and this is where they moved. Sometimes people have to move to find work, okay? So here it is. So she took care of the kids during the day, and as soon as they went to bed, she worked all night. At that time, black children and white children went to separate schools in New Orleans. The black children were not able to receive the same education as the white children. It wasn't fair, and it was against the nation's laws. In 1960, a judge ordered 4 black girls to go to 2 white elementary schools. 3 of the girls were sent to McDowa 19. 6-year-old Ruby Bridges was sent to first grade in William Frantz Elementary School. And here's a picture of the judge deciding what they're going to do. Now, this is in 1960, and he's ordered her, so she has no choice but to go to a new school. Ruby's parents were proud that their daughter had been chosen to take part in such an important event in American history. They went to church. We sat there and prayed to God, Ruby's mother said, that we'd all be strong and we'd have courage and we'd get through any trouble. And Ruby would be a good girl and she'd hold her head up high and be a credit to her own people and a credit to all the American people. We prayed long and hard. So they're afraid of racism. They're afraid of people making bad judgments or bad things happening because she's a black girl going to a white school. On Ruby's first day, a large crowd of angry white people gathered outside Frantz Elementary School. The people carried signs that said they didn't want black children in a white school. People called Ruby names. Some wanted to hurt her. The city and state police did not help Ruby. The President of the United States ordered federal marshals to walk with Ruby into the school building. The marshals carried guns. Look at that. I want you to think about that for a minute. Imagine that you are Ruby and you're in her place. How would you like to go to school every day for 6 weeks with people shouting at you and trying to hurt you and having to walk in with armed guards? It sounds so scary. Every day for weeks that turned into months, Ruby experienced that kind of school day. She walked to Frantz School surrounded by marshals. Wearing a clean dress and a bow in her hair, carrying her lunch pail, Ruby walked slowly for the first few blocks. As Ruby approached the school, she saw a crowd of people marching up and down the street. Men and women and children shouted at her. They pushed toward her. The marshals kept them from Ruby by threatening to arrest them. Ruby would hurry through the crowd and not say a word. Isn't that a terrifying way to go to school every day? Okay, we'll read some more tomorrow. Thanks for listening.